name is Jordan. I'm at the Strokes. Shows you how old I feel. I didn't even know who they were before I came here today. Did you come for the concert, Bernie, or both?
Both.
Okay. Are you of voting age yet, or?
Nope.
Okay, even better. So talk to me as a young person, however old you are, what's gravitating you towards Bernie and your friends here who seem to be around the same age?
Well, I don't know too much, but I don't know. It's just he sounds like an overall good guy. I haven't looked into many people yet, but I have a feeling that I would like him.
Could you vote in November or not yet?
Not yet, no.
Okay. And what did the fact that the Strokes were going to be here kind of made you want to stay for Bernie, or you were coming for Bernie anyway?
I don't know. He's just a cool guy, so I thought I'd come for both. You know, good band, good person.
Cool. In New Hampshire, what do you see as like the top issues that a president really needs to focus on to help the communities that you're from?
It seems that it might be maybe homeless people. You know, it seems like there's a lot of people who are struggling with that, and that would be good to get them off the streets and try to help them.
Sawyer was your name?
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
Oh, thank you so much.
What's your name?
I'm Piper.
Piper. You from New Hampshire?
I'm from Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Okay. It's like, can't get my bearings. I'm like at a rock Bernie concert. It's crazy. What brought you from Mass here? Was it the Strokes, Bernie, both?
Well, I'd go anywhere to go see Bernie Sanders. I love the Strokes and I love AOC too. So it's truly a meeting of all the greats.
And obviously the media seems to be very nervous right now. We know what happened in Iowa. I think a little intentional what went on. Bernie, according to the polls, doing quite well here in New Hampshire. What's at stake? You know, if Bernie Sanders wins here, what does that do for the movement and his chances to win?
I mean, I'm a housing organizer in Cambridge, Massachusetts, a place where hundreds of people and thousands of people in the area, in fact, are experiencing homelessness and immediately need emergency resources. Bernie Sanders is the only person who is standing up for the homeless community, even though, of course, that's not the most politically expedient thing to do, because a lot of these people are so deeply disenfranchised that they don't have the ability, you know, to get government paperwork, to vote, and have just the basic security that it takes to participate in the political process. So I think New Hampshire showing up for the candidate who is against housing instability and is for a homes guarantee, you know, that really will show people all over the country that housing is a human right and that New Hampshire residents are willing to stand up for people across the country on critical issues. And I think that'll give this movement the momentum it needs to move forward.
What are you talking about? All I hear about is the booming economy. You're saying things are not booming?
Yeah, well, I mean, in places all over the country, neoliberals are capitalizing upon narratives of the economy booming. In places like South Bend, Indiana, you know, of course, there have been leaders there, such as Pete Buttigieg, who say that they're revitalizing communities. It's not just on the right that this is happening, but neoliberal so-called leftist leaders who say that they're making great strides for housing. And this is true in Boston. Luxury housing is going up even when, you know, everyday working people can't find an apartment for their families to live in. So I think New Hampshire, people in New Hampshire, working people know what's going on. And I believe that they're going to show up for Bernie because they see that happening in their own community, just like we do in Cambridge.
What do you think about, I take all the polls with a grain of salt, but national polls, like today, Bernie's leading in Quinnipiac, which hasn't actually been that great of a poll for him. So if he's rising, that would indicate older people might be gravitating towards him as well as his stronger suit, which is younger people. But also, I mean, the old neoliberal, like Biden's political life he's kind of collapsing politically. It seems like a lot of those older type ideas and candidates are moving in the back. Bernie, what was once radical, seems to be gravitating and building up more of a support.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, so what are my thoughts on that specifically? Well, I think Ilhan Omar put it really well in a recent New Hampshire rally where she said, you know, if you're going to call me a radical for standing up for human rights, I'm sorry. You know, a lot of people pretend that it's the normal practical thing to do, you know, to not stand up for people's, you know, basic right to safety and to benefiting from their work and to living in the homes that the working class has built. So I think Bernie's messaging, this could not be more realistic. Simply people having the right to live and to enjoy their lives and live in safe communities. So I think people are really tapping into that. And, you know, the mainstream media has been pushing against it, but you can only push so hard when you see all of these good people around us doing as much as they can.
And why does I think a millennial like you, maybe, I don't know, Gen Z, millennial, Gen Z, why do Gen Zers like you mean turning the page? You mean the unity message of Pete Buttigieg isn't appealing to you? Why Bernie versus somebody like Pete?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I think, the unity message just depends upon the understanding that working class people, it's unity and prosperity for the upper class based on the sacrifices of the lower class, and the working people never get those benefits. I come from I grew up middle class, but my mother's side of the family, grew up working class farmers in the Midwest, and Pete Buttigieg's messages being from the from the industrial and sometimes, tapping into the heartland Midwestern values, but our values are taking care of people and making sure that nobody suffers because they don't have access to decent water, to clean food and housing. So why would I support someone who doesn't believe in those those basic principles?
What's your name again?
I'm Piper.
Piper. Thank you so much.
An absolute honor, Mr.
Oh, thank you.
Chairman.
Mister, please. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah. Hey, so you've been volunteering. Are you from New Hampshire or you came from out of town?
I'm from Boston.
Okay, Boston. So the energy here is I don't know how many people came for the Strokes versus Bernie versus AOC, but this is the biggest thing I've seen so far this campaign. Talk to me the night before the primary. What's your feeling? Obviously, he's doing well in the polls, but what's at stake here for Bernie to win New Hampshire?
I can't even stress, especially after what happened in Iowa, I'm not taking New Hampshire for granted. I'm fighting for every single vote. I'm a volunteer. I'm one of dozens and dozens of Boston volunteers who have dedicated every weekend for since October, for Bernie Sanders, and we've kind of built a community of volunteers who understand our position in history, and we realize this is our last stand, and we're we're not holding back anything, and we're really doing everything that we can.
Tell me more about that, because that's like a Western John Wayne. That's our last stand. You're basically saying there's not another Bernie waiting in the wings like Bernie.
Yeah, especially with climate change and avoiding escalation with war in Iran. It's a matter of already the Democratic Party has shifted fundamentally, and it's a matter of whether that change, basically this change will happen. It's either in 2020 or in a couple of years. But as I see it, it's the 2020 election is a matter of whether we can seize this moment and fundamentally shift things, or else, yeah.
I covered 2016, and really what I see from the media now and the whole Democratic machine, it kind of makes that look like child's play. Iowa was the most obvious thing I've ever seen in terms of, the app doesn't work, there's all the, let's report it piece by piece to give Buttigieg that bump. And now, between Bloomberg and talks, all these media folks talking about who else can we bring out of retirement, it seems like it is the last stand for them too.
Yeah, as a volunteer, I try to focus on just the day-to-day, but I do understand that, we're up against immense stakes and just immense, a coordinated, a systematic kind of, opposition, and we're willing to take that on.
Right. And what are your thoughts in terms of, you got Antarctica is at 65 degrees the other day. They're talking about a booming economy, but you have homelessness exploding. LA last year. I hear Boston is not so great as far as the homelessness situation. 40% of people living in poverty, but there's this cognitive dissonance and propaganda going around that everything's dandy, the economy's wonderful all around the country. Is that what you're seeing when you speak with people?
No, and I think that, Trump and the GOP's positioning to try to use the prosperous economy as a shield against Bernie Sanders' populism. That's not. I think Trump even knows that's not a winning message. The Dow Jones, these statistics just aren't cutting it for the entire country, and everyone can see it with their blind eyes. And I think the kind of attempt to kind of gaslight and kind of use these numbers to kind of convince us otherwise of what we see in our own communities. I think that's not going to cut it in 2020.
Tell me about you personally. What's at stake for you? Because you've been coming around for, 5-6 months from Boston, knocking on doors. What for you would change if he was president?
Well, in 2016, I think I, like, along with millions and millions of other people, like, have kind of had our worldviews kind of, shaped by what we saw, on screen. When you see, like, the Bernie Sanders versus, like, the Clinton kind of, like, dichotomy in the Democratic Party, we see that, and we see, like, finally that, like, politics can be shaped by other forces other than corporate interests, and, like, people might be represented in our government, and that does mean something personally to me. My family does have good health care. I just graduated from college, so I'm not in danger of student debt, etc. But, like, that doesn't matter, Like, I know people who are impacted by these things, and it's not, I don't have personal stakes in, healthcare, etc., but, like, I kind of do. Like, I want to live, I know that I live in a country that, has the potential to achieve these things, and we have that moment now. And I want to be able to, look at my grandchildren when we look back at 2020, that I've done everything that I can, that I've seized this historical opportunity.
What's your name again?
Justine.
Thank you, Justin. I appreciate it.
About it, AOC talked about it too. Bernie's campaign is about helping all of us and making a society that is about improvement. Whether you're in jail, whether you're starting a business, it's not just about being superior, it's about improving, and that makes me feel proud to be an American.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Good to see you.
Thanks for your support.
Make sure to hit like.
So, wow, what's really amazing to me, Cynthia Nixon, I thought was interesting because she supported Hillary because she thought she was, quote unquote, the most electable. Cynthia Nixon thought Hillary was the most electable, and she's kind of seen the light 4 years later. Do you think there's room for more people who have bought into this electability argument to see this movement and realize this is what's electable?
I think the idea of electability is BS, honestly. I was all for Bernie in 2016, and we saw where electability got us.
Right.
So,
because it seems like the media has kind of programmed people to think like somebody calling for universal health care, universal education, these things is like toxic. But if you go through those states, a lot of people want that all over the country, not just like in New Hampshire.
the idea of socialism is a bad thing.
Right. And I think
This isn't red communism that we have to be scared of, right? We all deserve these things.
And I think Bernie has talked about, we already have socialism, it's just Trump, corporate socialism. I think he's like twisted that around to say we have socialism. I mean, it's just corporate welfare and welfare for the plutocrats, and I think that's a good argument going into a general election.
Yeah, I agree.
What's at stake for you if you were to win?
Well, I've got 4 wonderful kids, and we're busting ass to make ends meet all the time. So I love his message. I love equality. I've got amazing friends that are fighting to be in this country, and they're fighting a really hard battle. So
Thank you. Appreciate it. So, what'd you think tonight? Because
It was amazing, man.
Well, it was interesting because Bernie really spent a lot of time on Trump, Bernie spent a lot of time on Trump, which he doesn't normally do.
Yeah.
Do you think he was doing that to kind of show, the polls are showing him taking the lead nationally? So did you like that he was focusing so much on Trump's fraudulence?
I enjoyed that he focused a lot on Trump. You want to come in? I enjoyed that he focused a lot on Trump, but this is a college town, man. Anything to really get the crowd fired up is awesome.
With the fuckery that went on in Iowa, obviously the media, the elites are they're not being subtle. They're trying to deprive him of a clean victory. How important is it to win here?
He's got to play like he's 10 points down, man. That's why he's hyping up the crowd right now. It's so important to win big here because we need to make it guaranteed that even if they do use some kind of fuckery, he'll still win by a good margin.
Why Bernie for you? How would he help your life, your family?
Everything, man. I'm 28 years old, so the Green New Deal, dude. It's so imperative that we get this Green New Deal, passed. Medicare for all is huge. I want Social Security to be there when I'm ready to retire. You know what I mean? Everything. Everything that he stands for, I stand for.
Thank you.
Great to meet you, man. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you. you could support this kind of reporting. It makes all the difference in the world. All the difference in the world. Want to come on live? Say hello. Don't be shy. Come here. I've never reported during a rock concert, so this is a lot of fun. Was this your first Bernie event or your event? Okay.
Yeah,
What'd you think? It was a lot of energy here.
Yeah, there was a lot of energy. Yeah.
Impressed? Not impressed? You seem tentative.
It was exactly what I expected it to be, basically. I mean, I definitely think it's interesting that it's a rock concert after.
Yeah.
I mean, I really think it speaks to the Bernie brand, kind of.
Basically that energy of kind of like galvanizing the youth.
Well, yeah, I suppose, but I mean, it's like, I was down there for a little bit, and you could smell the weed, so I mean,
It's just a plant.
What?
It's just a plant.
What?
Weed, it's just a plant.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it was a good time with my friends, basically. Yeah.
So do you think Bernie's policies a little too far for you, or you're still?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, so I mean, I don't. Can he? Yeah. So I feel like he's put the Democratic Party in a really odd position now, because I mean, I sort of like Elizabeth Warren, but like even her policies are kind of like she could get it done, but even in my heart, I don't know if I agree with them sometimes.
Why do you not agree with them? Because it seems like the media has fed a lot of people that these things can't happen, but if you look through American history, most significant change has not happened kind of like incrementally. It's been through movements.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens. Like, I mean, we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting. But yeah.
What's your name?
I'm David.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, sure.
Come on live.
Oh
Yeah,
my God,
we're live.
hey.
What's your name?
Crazy. Rob Hardy.
What's your name?
Caitlin.
I've covered a lot of Bernie events. The energy here was much different. It was like not just a concert, but like it's like Woodstock. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How'd you feel during this whole thing?
I completely agree. So we got here hours early to start standing in line. And really that outside area before the concert started was the exact same way. There's people playing games on their phones, hanging out, chatting with people they hadn't talked to before, pulling out their Burn app and canvassing. So as much as it was the political revolution, it really did feel like, all that camaraderie that you were just mentioning.
What about you? What stood out to you about this event?
I don't know. I got to see AOC, who I really like, and also Bernie. I saw him twice already, but I don't know. It was a lot of people. Like we had to wait in line, and the energy was just insane. Yeah.
And we see what's going on with the Iowa caucuses, the fuckery. Bernie's up in the polls, but you can't take anything for granted. How important is it to win here to kind of make a statement if you're the progressive movement?
I think it's essential. I think this is the moment that we really get to solidify the narrative that, Bernie is the unifier that we all see. He's the person that's going to bring us together. He's the person that's going to beat Donald Trump. And more than that, he's happy to do it, and we're happy to help him do it. So,
wait, I keep being told that Pete Buttigieg is the unifier, that Pete, that Midwest twang.
yeah, he unified all the billionaires on the West Coast with all the billionaires on the East Coast. It's great, right? So, I don't think so.
I actually find it a little insulting to my intelligence when somebody says, oh, it doesn't matter that I'm taking their money. We need everybody to take on Trump.
I don't think that's the case. You hear Bernie say it here himself. 99% is a whole lot bigger than 1%. We can keep donating, so I think there's a lot more power speaking to the people and embracing their needs than kowtowing to billionaires, corporate lobbyists, or people in wine caves.
Why Bernie for you? What would him being president do for your life?
He appeals to me as a student. Like I want affordable healthcare and education. I think that's essential to going forward for a country, honestly.
And I don't know how old you guys are, but the planet's kind of on fire. He seems to be the only person with the necessary investment.
Yeah, so what's great about Bernie's plan is that the ends justify the means. You really can't put a price tag on our human survival, and I'm really tired of hearing people talk about the cost of the Green New Deal, because what they don't take into account is everything we're going to lose if we don't pay for it, right? So it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer.
And what's been the response you've gotten knocking on doors?
So anytime I go knock on doors, for the most part, people are just excited that I'm out and engaging in the process. So I think that's the best advice I can give to anybody is, regardless of who you do support, it's important to be involved, it's important to exercise your rights, and I think it's important to have the dialogue. So keep getting out there, keep talking to people.
And why do you think Bernie would be the best candidate to go against Trump? Because all we hear about is how, moderate milquetoast is how you defeat Donald Trump.
Because Bernie was the best person to beat Donald Trump 4 years ago. Bernie's the best person to beat Donald Trump now. And that's for a number of reasons. It's because everything Donald Trump says he does, Bernie actually does. So whether it's raising the minimum wage, getting people health care, fixing the broken immigration system so that we have people coming here the right way, whether it's, getting us out of the endless wars, he's the person that actually believes in it. So I think just communicating that to the voters is really what's going to win this election.
What's your name?
Robert Hardy.
What's your name?
Caitlin.
Thanks, Ed.
Really nice to meet you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.